Hello, everybody. Welcome to 4 Deep Sports Talk at the news station, 1320 AM Attleboro. I'm Justin Ferrer, aka the Sportsmaster, and now a word from our sponsor. This segment of 4 Deep Sports Talk is made possible by the generous support of Diesel Direct. Diesel Direct, the national fuel resource in 46 states, boosts a fleet of over 900 fuel delivery trucks. 4 Deep Sports Talk would like to congratulate Diesel Direct on its 25th year anniversary. Thank you, Diesel Direct, for your unwavering support, helping us provide a platform of high school and youth athletes in southeastern Massachusetts.
Great job, old man. Again, I'm Dominic Dambiano. Again, that was a Sportsmaster, our new intern, and everyone in Bridgewater is probably listening and watching right now is Vincent Quill from Quinnipiac starts his internship. And we have the privilege of having our good old friend, the ex-football coach over at East Bridge. I knew he wasn't gonna, I knew for a fact he was not just gonna start working at Stop and Shop, that he was gonna go back under the helm. And of course, I'm referring to Sean Tarpey, and we also have an old college buddy, Jeff Picard. I'm glad I watched Star Trek because I love that last name. He's over at AIC. Jeff, is that correct?
Correct.
And I know the guys have a couple of questions. I want you to thank you for coming on. God knows what you had planned. And I hope I didn't get you the bar mitzvah or the birthday, whatever you might have had going on today. But Coach, thank you. It's great to see you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So let's go dive into my questions. We'll get educated with coaches. We know where he's going, but we're also curious on how your outlook coming up to this season.
Sure.
Go ahead, young man.
Okay. All right. Did you play football in high school?
I did. I went to Stoughton High School, played football there, played quarterback and safety for those guys. Was lucky enough to have a pretty good high school career, was recruited a little bit, and ended up at Springfield College and played 4 years there, played quarterback, and again had a nice career over there. Met some incredible friends like the guy sitting next to me right now, my fullback. And so the game of football has been great to me as a player. And then I've coached for many years after that.
What have you learned about your experiences playing football?
To me, football is like no other sport in how challenging it is in terms of the level of commitment that it takes to play at a high level, even in not just individually but collectively as a team. There's so many moving parts compared to all those other sports out there. And I played basketball and baseball in high school, and my philosophy as a high school coach is the guys to play as many sports as they can. But to me, again, that's where football separates itself, the commitment you need in the off season, and how much time and effort it takes even in season to play that one game a week and get everyone on the same page is really challenging. And I think that's what makes it different than everything else.
Now, as a quarterback, right, you had to slowly try to, you proved it very well with the teams that you put together with over at East Bridgewater, 105 wins, that spread offense. Are you looking to do something like that, or we don't want to let them know yet?
No, I don't. No, we're going to try to do a lot of the same stuff that we've done. And, I think that's what good coaching is. You play to your strengths. And I was really proud of a lot of the stuff we did, especially offensively, since I was calling the plays at East Bridgewater. And I'm hoping to bring a lot of that stuff to Pembroke.
That's going to be exciting, because if anybody ever saw what he did over at East Bridgewater to spread it. And then Kingman, God, I can't believe he tried to copy you. Good up doing that.
Well, Pat and I, we're good friends, also Springfield College guys, so we're tight-knit community, Springfield is, and he coached with me the year before he went down to Middleborough. Yeah, and I was thrilled to see him get that Middleborough job. I taught there for a few years, and I still have a lot of friends that work there. And I think Middleborough is a great place. So it was exciting to see him go down there. And then, of course, we've had some incredible games against each other when I was at East Bridgewater. We've actually been talking about maybe getting a scrimmage or something together with those guys now that I'm at Pembroke.
Well, that's going to be pretty good. Get bragging rights already.
Yeah, we're trying, yes.
Jeff, now, being over at AIC, what's the biggest transition you see from high school kids trying to play, not just Division III, any division in at the football ranks?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about nationally, it's only 7% of student athletes, football players, will be recruited and will be playing at the next level, no matter what division it's at. And the player, it's all about the commitment to the sport and the work ethic that an individual has, and what kind of leader they are from coming from high school. I mean, a lot of college football players are coming as their captains or their best player on their team, and now they're coming up to the next level, and they're playing with all those same players at the same skill level, same size, same speed, and sometimes that's a tough adjustment for some high school football players, but if you really have your heart into the game, you can be successful at any level.
Now, do you base that off, as you recruit, off their family background? Like, some people are great players, but they still have, unfortunately, the knack with their family. Might be that bad interaction with the family. Do you base that off? Like, you get Coach Staffy, you know what he's made of, you know the kids coming out of that program. He won't put up with any crap, but he wants to play football, he wants to win. Just like Peter Marciano used to do it, Coach Bjorn used to do it over at BR. Do you guys look into that aspect, even though he might be a great student, but he might not be ready for college, even though physically he is, but maybe not the mental part of it, because it can be challenging, because you're an adult now.
Yeah. The character of an athlete is something that is probably the first thing we ask head football coaches at the high school level, and just what type of person he is, what type of person they are in the classroom, what type of person they are in the community, and we're looking for somebody that's going to represent our university or our establishment or college, at that level that's brought a lot from where they came from, and so that's a huge part. And some students who are struggling maybe in academics or in the school, and they're a really, really good athlete, but maybe needs some more years to develop. It's not a bad choice to go to a different level of a JUCO or to just a postgraduate school to really just develop and grow up, really. And
do you think they should do that more often than not when it comes to something like that?
Well, it depends on the level of the athlete and the level of just where they're at personally, and where they're at as far as when they're ready to graduate high school, and if they feel like they need a few more years to develop. In today's age, eligibility is still eligibility, and for at the college level, you still only get 4 years. But if they can take some time to just develop for a year or two outside of high school, right. We encourage that at the college level.
508-222-1320. It would have been nice if I said that in the beginning, Coach. Maybe people would try calling in. I apologize for dropping the ball. Now I really dropped the ball because I forgot to put my mic on. I might have to ask all those questions all over again.
Now we can hear you nice and clear.
Right, I apologize for that. I'm saying to myself, why isn't my light on? Because I forgot to press the down button.
No pun intended for the expression dropping the ball, because we're talking about football.
I most certainly did.
Okay, I just thought of a question that I didn't write on my notepad. How stressful is it playing quarterback when you have to throw the ball in 2 seconds and 10 guys are charging at you?
It's really one of the most challenging thing I think in sports. They talk about like hitting a baseball and stuff like that. To be able to stand in that pocket and throw the ball is really, really hard. And getting a high school quarterback to do it successfully is also very hard. The best thing you can do is really through experience. Through all their youth experience and freshmen, and then coaching them when they get up to the varsity level, JV and varsity level. It's kind of giving them that understanding, like, guys, this is not easy, and it's been great over the years to kind of reference Tom Brady, because he was obviously so incredible at just moving just a little bit enough in the pocket to give him a chance to do that. And not that we expect our players to be at that level, but he was so good at it. And so many people watched it, so it was a great example to kind of to show those guys on how to do it successfully. But it's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, I remember when I was coaching Pop Warner back in the day, and we'd go to the clinics over at Gillette, and they had a picture of Tom Brady, how he made the perfect C motion when he released the ball. And I was like, well, I never really paid attention to that. I just thought, just don't throw off your back foot,
Yeah, him and Joe Montana are my two favorite guys to kind of reference, because their release was so high.
Yeah.
They stood so tall in the pocket. They got so, they're on that left leg so nice and tall, and it was just, it doesn't get better than those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when I played football once in gym class, I actually scored a touchdown. But the crazy thing is how I did it, because I had my hands out and I had my eyes shut and I turned my head away because I was afraid of the ball hitting me in the face.
Oh, you were multitasking, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to show off. I get it.
But you
That's skill.
pulled it in? You pulled it in?
Yeah, somehow I was able to do it, even though I
there
had
you
my
go.
eyes shut and turned away.
Yeah.
What do you got, old man? I know you got another one. I'm sorry.
All right. What's your favorite aspect of football?
I think the relationships that you build, and again, it's not a mistake that I'm here with again my college fullback Jeff Picard and one of my best friends in the world. And Dom, and you blasted that out on Facebook, just to hear from all my former players and guys that I've worked with, former coaches, all the relationships that you form. And I know you form those in so many sports, but again, the commitment that football is, it's a year-round commitment, and you put so much into it, and the successes and the losses, I think really brings people together, and that's what's great about football.
Oh, it was awesome to see the global had like 5,100 views. You know, and I hit everybody I knew on Facebook because I know he's a decent guy, and I know he's a great football coach. It was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Also, note, during that football game I played, we didn't have padding equipment. We didn't have pads or helmets to protect us.
That's crazy. That's almost like rugby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the best aspect of football is the brotherhood that you build. It's a fraternity that you have with your teammates. 30 years, 40 years back down the road, you're always going to communicate back with the ones you played in high school with, if you played at the next level with college, and those are going to be some of your best friendships and the best relationships you'll ever have.
That's awesome. I love hearing that stuff.
Talking about relationships a little bit, we were talking about the transition from high school to college. What about the transition from middle school to high school? I'm sure that's really difficult for the players, and how do you go about building those relationships with those younger players?
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal for those younger guys to come up, and it has a lot of similarities from going to high school to college, but different in that they're middle schoolers and they're still, developing mentally and physically. I think the best way to do that is you start at the top. You start with your older kids and how your expectations of how a program should be run in terms of how they treat everyone who's below them, because you're the oldest guy. You're the leader as far as I'm concerned. So it's really kind of a top-down mentality.
Yeah.
If you get that group of seniors to really treats everyone with respect and treats everyone the right way, and creates a welcoming environment for those young guys to come in and then just be a part of the program, you can really set yourself up for a lot of success. So be open to those guys and understand that they are young, and you got to really kind of show them the way. In this stuff, you can do what you do, summer programs with the lifting, and then a program that I've run for many years called the Summer Olympics, where they're competing like on a weekly basis from basically anything but football, like soccer, kickball, silly like phys ed games. But it's fun to see, that freshman maybe make a play when they're out competing with the older kids, because I mix up the kids with different ages. Things like that can be done to kind of bring that camaraderie between the guys together, and it's fun to see it happen.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, if you want to call us at 508-222-1320. We have the new skipper over at Pembroke High School, along with his classmate, the AIC. Now, Coach, are you the assistant coach, or what's your
I'm
title?
an assistant offensive coach. I'm the wide receivers coach there at AIC.
Yeah, then he's going to rope you into coach high school football. I can see it.
Oh, I already said it to him on the way down here.
Right.
So
He wants to pay for my commute and gas.
There you go. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Fort Deep Sports Talk. We are continuing highlighting Sean Therapy, the new Pembroke football coach. And next question is, where was I? What's the hardest part about football?
The hardest part about football, the game of football, it's again the level of commitment, and it's obviously a really tough sport. One of my my favorite stories is one of my professors at Springfield College back in the day. They took football as a class, and this was Springfield's a big phys ed major
Really?
class. Yeah, so even if you didn't play football, if you
Yeah.
were going to become a phys ed teacher, you actually had to play tackle football with the pads and everything like that. Coach Deering, the softball, the volleyball coach. So, and he was a mentor of mine there, and I remember him. He was a good athlete. He ran a toss, and he got tackled by 4 or 5 guys, and he never thought he was going to recover. But he remembers he tells a story about him getting up and checking himself, and he's like, "Wow, I'm actually okay," you know. So, and he uses that story a lot in saying that how tough the game can be, and it's it's a hard thing to do, especially when we get maybe those middle school kids to come up to high school. Maybe some of them haven't played, so just the physicality of the game, it really kind of tests your courage as a young man, but getting through that is really cool because you say it just builds confidence that you're like, all right, I can do these hard things and I'm going to be okay. And sometimes you get banged up, but it's that part of the sport is really interesting to see these guys grow in that way.
So that's how that curriculum class went. See if you have the mental tough or take a hit or something.
I think that
crazy.
was just part of them becoming phys ed teachers back in the day there.
Oh,
and
okay,
and again, he wasn't a football guy, but they had to take that class. They don't do it anymore.
Right.
That was years ago they did that.
Well, talking about filling in space, huh? Let's talk about football.
Talking about the hardest part, what about coaching? Because it's not all playing. Obviously, you need a good coach if you want to be successful. But what's the hardest part about coaching football?
There's a lot of challenges, and I think one of the things is just the time that it takes is a huge commitment. And as we get older, you've got families, you've got children. My 4 daughters, 3 of them are listening right now, so I need to say hello to Neve, Tegan, and Anya, and obviously their little sister Rowan. But those guys are listening. They just text me to say give us a shout out, and then certainly my goddaughter, Jeff's daughter. Go ahead, you can say hi to Lily.
Hey, Lily. Good luck in your game today in soccer.
So the time, it takes a lot of time. And it's really kind of a whole endeavor. It's not something that you can just do by yourself. So they're home listening. But when we get around to the fall, when things get really ramped up at Pembroke, they're going to need to, know that Dad's going to be busy or, these are the things that we're going to have to adjust to make sure that we all get through this fall season together.
Nice. That's funny. You got the shout-outs and to cover himself at Christmas. Both of them did. What do you got, old man?
How do you see yourself continuing to win football?
Well, first of all, at Pembroke, I'm just trying to get to know the guys. I was hired a couple months ago. I'm still working in a different district, so hopefully I'll be over at Pembroke next year to teach, to make that transition easier for all of us. Any coach, especially a new coach, you want everything to get squared away right away. So I just need to be patient and realize that it is a work in progress. But finishing up, finalizing the staff, which we've got a great staff. A couple little parts I think we need to maneuver around, but I think we're almost there. And hopefully we can all come together as quick as you possibly can in terms of what my expectations are as a new head coach and how the players are going to fit into their roles within the program moving forward. The kids are great over there. I couldn't speak more highly of the student athletes at Pembroke. Very welcoming, and I think so far it's been a really good fit.
How many seniors are you losing from last year?
I don't know the exact number, but I do know they are losing a really, really tough, good senior class. A bunch of these guys are going on to play college. I've certainly watched all the film. I wish none of them were leaving because they were really good.
Right.
So, but the good news is we've got some underclassmen that can play too. So there's a lot of things to be excited about. And again, I can't wait to really hit the ground running and go full bore once we kind of get there.
Well, I would say get prepared the best you can, as fast as you can, but at the same time, don't rush into it as well.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a really good point because you want everything to be done now, but you can't. It doesn't. it doesn't happen like that. And there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be challenges as a coach and as a program and for the players. That's part of the game of football. That's part of the reason what I love about it is that if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah,
so it's a journey that I enjoy the heck out of, and it's fun to do it with the coaches that are there, and certainly the players, and then the community that gets involved too. It can be really fun, but it's hard at the same time.
Yeah, obviously stepping into a new position is hard, especially when all these kids have a different coach and different coaching styles. And you growing up playing football, being quarterback, you've probably dealt with a lot of coaches yourself. And have there been any coaches, coaching styles that have left an impact on you where you knew that you wanted to be a coach?
I could sit here for days talking about all the incredible coaches I've had, and my daughters all play sports. They play different sports, so we're talking about these things constantly. And I've just been so lucky for my whole life, whether playing football, baseball, basketball, any of those things, to have so many positive people in my life. I think one story that stands out to me is sitting in Coach DeLong's office. He was the head coach when I was at Springfield. I was a sophomore, and he coached quarterbacks too at the time, so we were really, really close. And I didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of what my major was going to be at Springfield. I was undecided for the first year and a half, and then finally he just looked at me and said, "Well, you want to be a coach?" And I just it was just me and him in the office. He said, "Okay, so what do I do now?" And then he said, you probably should be a teacher." And that one conversation steered me in a direction, and he was right. He saw it. I just didn't know it at the time. And I thank God that we had that conversation, and Coach DeLong and I are still friends, as long with Jeff, still visiting him up in his place. He's got a place up in Maine. So lifelong friends with Coach DeLong, and I'm thankful that we had those conversations. But I've had so many great coaches over there. Greg Burke was my high school coach, and Coach Douglas coached me in basketball. It's just been an incredible, stretch I've had in terms of meeting so many great coaches.
That'd be based off your body English you probably saw, being a leader, the way you interact, make sure the plays are running right. And he's like, this could be a heck of a coach someday. You know what I mean? As he's watching you. That's pretty cool. All right, what do you got? Oh, man, I know you're going right down your list.
All right, how hard is it to balance teaching and coaching?
It can be really challenging, but it's not that challenging if you just kind of understand what the priorities are. So from the time I get to work in the morning until the time I leave, you're a teacher first and foremost, and that's my career. I'm a teacher, and really teaching and coaching are the same thing to me. But teaching is my number one job, and that's where you have to focus all your attention. And a lot of it comes down to just being able to balance the commitments of both of them.
Arguably, it's harder for the students to balance because you can't get the grades up, then you can't play.
Well, it's absolutely hard for both, for them. I mean, I tell those guys all the time when I go to professional development where I have to sit for 3 or 4 hours a day, and I said, this is what you guys have to do it too, and I struggle with it as well. So I try to put myself in their shoes as much as I can as a teacher, but it's challenging, but I enjoy it. So when you do enjoy doing it, I enjoy working with kids. So all of that makes it worth it for me.
All right, so my next question for you, now you obviously know you're going to the Patriot League. And you have a lot of good football programs in there. Duxbury is the first one that kicks out. Situate, I think, is following, at least I thought they were, as far as the way Duxbury does stuff, as far as more work behind the scenes, weightlifting and stuff like that. And you can see the kids getting stronger. You can see them buying into the system. And they went on that run the last 4 years where they were really competitive. And the only one in their way was Duxbury. Then you have Whitman Hansen with their new coach over there. They're running that double wing, and it seems like it works every now and then. Everyone loves that Navy offense. I don't know why they love that. And then you have Silver Lake. I'm sure I don't miss anybody. Plymouth North, Plymouth South, Marshfield. It's a really competitive division. And how do you look at that when you come from the South Shore League, which was competitive in its own right. You never know when Carver was going to hit you with something. Maybe they would grow up, and I don't want to say it like that because I'm joking.
Yep. They had a great year last year.
Exactly.
Yep.
And now you're in the Patriot League. What's your mindset going into that conference?
Well, you're right in that it's a gauntlet. So my mindset is when East Bridgewater was in the Patriot League many, many years ago when I first started there.
Okay. And
then we transitioned to the South Shore League, and we still kept some of those games there. We played Hanover probably 12, 15 years in a row, who's one of the stronger teams. All those teams are very, very tough. But if you look at the two sides, you have the big and the small, the Keenan, and I'm going to forget the other one right now, of course. Oh, it's
Fisher.
Fisher,
Yeah,
exactly.
I
We were
forgot
just talking
too,
about
yeah.
Bob earlier. Yeah. So it's tough, and that's why, you look at how Pembroke did last year, and they went up against all those good teams, and they were really good themselves, and they were just a couple plays here or there that could have been the difference. And
Right.
certainly, every coach is looking to improve from the year before. So hopefully we can figure out a way to make a couple of those plays to sneak into the playoffs. And if you get into the playoffs coming out of the Patriot League, no matter what your record is, you're gonna have a chance. Hopefully you don't run into another Patriot League team. But if you can get in from our league, it's gonna be a tough opponent for anybody.
You have another question, sir?
I've gone through all mine. Now I have to improvise.
You always do a good job. What, you got anything?
Just going off that, how you're joining the Patriot League, is there any specific games that you're excited for? Because I know in football, every sport, there's rivalries, and is there any game that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, certainly always the Thanksgiving Day game, Silver Lake in Pembroke, seeing as Pembroke at one point was part of Silver Lake before they broke off many, many years ago. And so that's something to look forward to. I've actually coached against a bunch of the guys in that league, whether it was non-league games or they were at other schools. Coach Kelleher, who's at Hanover, he was at Rockland at one point. Coach Devine at Situate and I go back, and I've gotten messages from all of these guys really when I got hired at Pembroke.
Awesome.
And so, congratulating me and then saying some other things, colorful things like, oh, yeah, we're not really excited about having you in the league. Fun camaraderie type things, which I respected, and because, again, I know how good they are at what they do. The league is really, really good, lots of really good coaches. So, I'm looking forward to the challenge, but that is that. It is a challenge, and it's going to be difficult.
So, Jeff, so my question to you is, looking down from, the college ranks, at the Patriot League, you know what he's going to bring to the table, and you're going to wait to see how they progress. Is there any certain out of those towns that you guys are already looking at? Any? Of course, Duxbury, but then Duxbury's kind of been tapering off a little bit too. Any other towns that you guys look at? You're looking at players right now.
Well, yeah, we do recruit the Eastern Boston, East Boston and Boston area,
Yep.
and
Eastern
South
Mass.
Shore, Eastern Mass. There you go. For our Division II level, we do heavily. We have I'm not the recruiter out this way, but we do have
Well, you're
one
a
of our
football
coaches.
fan.
Oh yeah, and but we know the level of football out here is just extremely competitive, especially with the Patriot League, and there's a lot of good quality athletes from each and all those schools, and we definitely look to take a look at any of those athletes that could come out of these schools out here and join us out in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Awesome. All right, we're going to take our second break. Again, if you want to call in, 508-222-1320. We have Jeff Picard from AIC, and, of course, our friend, longtime friend, Sean Tarpey, the new skipper over at Pembroke. We'll be back with him and more right after this.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk here at the news station 1320 AM Attleboro. All right. I just thought of this. So Okay, so obviously not counting your football career, what's your favorite number one moment that's happened in professional football?
Oh, you mean as a fan?
Yeah, as a fan.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, so many of, obviously, we're so lucky to be around, obviously the Patriots run that they've had and the Celtics and the Bruins. That was a tough one last night. But maybe the Patriots, I don't know, the tough, reversing the curse with the Sox.
Yeah.
And celebrating that with my dad and my brother. But certainly, the first Super Bowl vintage. I was actually out in Springfield because I was an assistant coach at Springfield College at the time. So a couple of those things kind of come to mind in some great moments there.
How about you, Jeff? Anything come to mind for you?
Well, as far as Massachusetts, I'm a New York born bred.
We won't hold it against you. Not today.
But he's come over to the New England sports too.
Right.
He's been over here for a while.
Yeah.
Without the dark side, is that what it was?
Yes.
No, some people have taken Boston, New York too far and have been toxic with it.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Both parties are guilty of that.
He has a blue lightsaber now, not a red one.
But I would say probably the one of the best professional sports moments.
please don't
where
say
it
what I think
was,
you're gonna say.
Was when Eli Manning threw that touchdown to Plexico Burress to beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
I knew it.
I was thinking either that or the home run that Tim Wakefield gave up.
Oh, Aaron Boone.
Aaron Boone.
I
Yeah.
thought he was going to say something
Game
like
7.
that.
Oh yeah, that was also a classic too. That was,
Right.
where I was at Springfield College when that happened, and our head coach was a New York Yankees fan too, and we were probably the only two
Coach DeLong,
celebrating
yeah.
on the bus.
Yeah.
Now, Coach, when you stepped down to EB, did you go to college right away and coach?
No.
You just took the break?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
good for you.
Yep.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
good to always step back and catch your breath, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
you guys know, I know a little bit on the freshman side. It can take your whole 365 days because season's over. You're worried about. I'm thinking that you're more worried about when we're going to hit the weights.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at more film. Who's
Yep.
coming up? Who's mature? All that stuff. So, how many guys do you think are going to travel for this ball team?
Our numbers aren't great. What I like to think of us as, like lean, meaning we don't have a ton of guys, but the guys we do have, they're good and they're tough. They're, Pembroke has such a great athletic program overall. We have so many guys that were involved in the track program, which is fantastic over there.
Yeah.
We've got guys obviously playing lacrosse and baseball. So we're Division 5 and out of 8, so we're on the smaller side of the population. But I don't mind the fact that because we don't have a ton of guys in the weight room, but so many of them are doing other sports, which is what I would rather have them do, competing. And then once the summer rolls around in a few weeks, we'll get them in there for the summer workouts, and that's really kind of where the metal hits the road, so as they say. But it's rubber hits the road. Yeah, what's the other one? Metal limits, whatever that metal.
That's all right.
Is. Thank you. So
He had to get you back.
no, of course. I was waiting. It's only a matter of time. But we our numbers aren't huge, but that's something that I'm hoping to work on.
Right.
And I've already been working with the youth people. And Joel is the president of the youth. They had a big open house a couple weeks ago, and it was great to be over there. We have a meeting coming up where we're going to talk X's and O's.
Nice.
So we're already trying to build that relationship and that connection between youth football and Pembroke and the high school program. And they've already had one. We're just trying to improve upon that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do you see the problem with Pembroke that with the Severians, the Cardinal Spellmans, the Bishop Fians, you see that a lot in that area? There's a lot of good athletes in Pembroke.
There is.
Yeah. It hurts
but
the other team.
We're not losing too many of them from my understanding. That's one of the first questions I asked.
Yeah.
So we do get a lot of them that are staying, which is when you're in these smaller schools, that's half the battle, is just making sure the kids are there and they're playing for the high school. So that's certainly something that every high school coach is trying to make sure happens.
Because I see, you doing what you do. We had Coach Lisa Downs from Foxborough won the state championship, and she's just like you. She's in the AA, the rec programs, and the girls that were on the show. Oh, I remember when you went to when I was in the 4th grade, you were at my game, and they were all intimidated by her. But at the same time, I think that's so important. Jeff, do you agree to that? That's good that he does that. Is that something you push out so as a friend that? I mean, he's obviously going to do it anyway, but we'll pick on Coach Kingman from it, like, you need to get involved with these youth groups, otherwise you could lose everything. Would you agree to that?
Oh, absolutely. I think an excellent youth program that actually is, does, cooperate and works together with their high school program is a huge piece to having a successful football program at the high school level.
Right. I think Coach Bjorn was big on that at BR. I remember my kid when I was umpiring baseball and they were doing the winter league or the fall league. He was out there with all these little midgets. They looked like bobbleheads with their helmets on. And he was working through not more terminology, but just like formations. Mm-hmm. Is that how you're gonna look? Is that how you're gonna recommend it, direct it towards those guys?
Yeah. So that's always the part of the conversation is what is the high school going to do, and then how can we make that work in conjunction with the youth. It's one of the things the way I look at it is if the youth teams are doing the same thing that we're doing at the high school, then maybe I'm not doing it's not that hard. So
yeah, exactly.
I'd like to think that we're doing things that the youth can't do because it's harder. They're high school kids. They're young men. And just like Jeff at AIC, we can't do the things that they do because they're at the college level. So,
yeah.
But with that being said, there's no reason why we cannot try to meld some of those things together to try to make them somewhat similar and just work together. But at the end of the day, really, it's about the relationships and being there for the youth. And I know the youth are going to be around for us and working on all of those things. And, I remember so many of my former players. I can remember their those little eyes looking up at you when you run those youth camps and stuff like that. And I can still see their faces. And now they're grown men with adults and families. And I've been to their weddings. And it's funny when I see them still, I can still see that little guy that was there. So that's one of the great parts of
they
coaching
always
high
look
school
up
football.
to the high school players as role models.
Yeah.
They want to be like that, and they want to be on the field Friday nights just like they are.
Yeah,
So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys got? Anything? You can interrupt me anytime you want, Vinny. You're not going to hurt my feelings, I swear to God. So I'll let you think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. So my next question is, all right, we got the fall coming up. What are we looking to hit the weight room? When's captain's practice?
Yeah, so we're already over in the weight room. We're over there
Good.
a few days a week. Again, it's tough because so many kids are doing the spring sports, and with me not being in the town right now, we're getting over there in the evenings. We have a sign-up meeting next week just to really gauge exactly who's on board. We're hoping to grab a couple other guys that maybe were fringe guys that want to be part of just a new beginning here at Pembroke. Yeah. So we'll be doing that Thursday after school. And I believe the 8th graders were going to be coming up, so I'll get a chance to meet those guys too, which I haven't done yet. I met the high school guys just with an initial meeting, and then I've just seen them through the weight room program and going to track meets and things like that. So we got a lot of stuff to do, but we'll be, the summer programs, I'll be there 4 days a week, once the summer starts, and it would be exciting to get those guys going. And really, again, a lot of it's besides working hard and getting bigger and stronger, just getting to know these guys so we're all on the same page.
Now, so do you have an idea where these guys are going to be playing? Do you, from what you saw in film?
I have an idea, yeah. But really, that's all it is. I've only seen him on film, and I've been talking to a couple of the guys that are coming back from the staff that were there last year, which I'm very excited to have some of these guys, Jim Goff, Mike Falco. Those guys have been incredibly instrumental in helping me get to know these guys and get to know just kind of where we've been so we can figure out where we're going to go. But until we really get going, it's going to be exciting to see. We're not going to know where anybody really is. We have a general idea, but we have a lot of room to grow in that regard.
What did they run for an offense last year? Shame on me for not knowing.
No, they Owen Pace was the quarterback last year, and Jaden Leonard, both those guys are coming back. That's why I mentioned them. They threw the ball a lot, especially towards the second half of the year. They had a lot of success throwing the ball, but they had some really good running backs. Some of those guys are moving on, but Reese, it was junior last year. He's coming back, was a good running back. So they've got a lot of guys coming back. They were a mix between a spread team and like a power run game.
Okay.
Which is a lot of the stuff that I'm going to do will look similar, but we'll just have our own little spin on how we do it.
How are we looking for an offensive line? Did we lose some guys?
We lost some guys. Yeah.
All right, so we'll be young and strong, but not that thick.
Yeah, that's
way to say it.
No, but that's kind of I think where we are, and in finding those 5 guys again, it's going to be who knows, maybe someone who was a tight end now maybe they're a tackle, or if someone was a fullback maybe they become a guard potentially, and those can be challenging things to do for a high school kid to move like that, or tough conversations to have, especially as a new coach.
Right.
I know over the years when you really get to know the guys, it helps having that relationship with them, and they kind of understand, or you've just built up that trust with them that they can they can see the bigger picture.
Right.
But young men, and high school kids, they don't always see the big picture. That's the part of the challenge, the joy and the challenge of coaching them, and that's all part of the job.
Yeah, you got to put up with all the, I hate to say it, I'll say it for me, not for you, is you got to worry about those upset kids. I was going to say, I almost said a colorful metaphor. I had to catch myself. But you have to, you probably see that a little bit, Coach. When they go to you, Jeff, you already are looking at, them. This is where you're going to play. I looked at you as hypothetically as a quarterback. This is where we want to play, where he has to worry about coming in fresh, looking at these guys. I already know his success at East Bridgewater. Now he has to worry about, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. And you hate to do it like you just touched on, but it's the way it is. You're trying to be successful. You're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I believe as a guard, you can pull and knock the crap out of that D end or that linebacker just sitting there, and you're going to help our team. And that must be tough.
Yeah, and one of the sorry, Jeff, I know part of that was to you, but one of the challenging parts for me is going to be for guys to understand. I've done it before so many times, and it's been a lot of successes, but it was just somewhere else. So I can't say, look at X, Y, or Z guys that they maybe knew when they were younger that maybe changed or went through some challenging times, and we came out successful because we're starting from the beginning together. So I think that'll be a challenge for me, how much I bring from my past and how much is relevant for these guys moving forward. I can talk about, playing in college and coaching at the college level and things like that, but it's a fine line on what is relevant for these guys and what isn't.
Right, that's the next question I'll ask you when we come back. Something like that. All right, we're going to take our last break. If you want to call in, please don't be scared. 508-222-1320. We have Jeff Picard from AIC, and, of course, our good friend Sean Tarpey, the new skipper over at Pembroke High School. We'll be back with him and more right after this.
Those linemen are the key.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to 4 Deep Sports Talk. We did a lot of great talking on this last break, and let's talk about those bigs, Coach Jeff. Coach Jeff, I should say.
Coach Pick.
Coach Pick, there you go. On how important, and then Coach, of course, reiterated what you just said about how important to have, especially if you have that. And we're talking about offensive linemen. You guys already have them classified as what now?
So we classify at the college level. If you're coming in, is you're either a big skill, or a skill player, and the bigs are your offensive linemen and defensive linemen. But like I was saying on the break, is that there's such a huge commodity that that they're in such need at every level, high school level, and at the college level especially. I mean, they are the core to your both offense and defensive teams. And all I can say is to all the athletes out there that are listening, parents, kids, players, if you're big and you got size, play football, come out and play. And, they are such a huge need, especially even at the high school level, just because, that's just a really huge key to success at the high school level and any level is having great offensive linemen.
Right, and then you also talked about how you see this kid and you get this God-given ability. You're already a big guy. Why not play football? So it works into my next question. Do you think or do you see maybe there's a soccer kid that can help you out? That I saw that over with Tom Pileski when he went over to Cardinal Spellman. And I forget the gentleman's name. He was from Bridgewater. Oh, my God. He was a soccer player, but he was a great quarterback. He just didn't realize he had the God-given potential, but he had a hell of a foot, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to recruit any of those guys.
Right.
But sometimes over the years, kids are interested in maybe trying out football. It does get a lot of attention. We know the NFL is huge, and college football is big, and high school football is big. So it's you get some guys that are interested. We're not, most high school coaches are not recruiting the other guys from the other sports, but you always have an open door. If you want to come over and try it out,
right.
We're welcome to have you, especially if you're big. Well, then we're interested in that.
Right.
And it's, I can't tell you how many times over the years you just got that big guy and sitting in class, the first day of school, maybe a new student or something to that. It's like, say, what are you doing? What are you doing later on today, buddy? And we've gotten some guys that have helped us out. So it's great. One of my favorite stories is that we had some guys that were maybe not playing football because they were really, really big, but they just weren't ready. They weren't in shape, to play.
Right.
And I've had some guys that have come out and really have changed their whole body type and their whole fitness level, and their whole life changed because now they were able to get through a whole football practice, and they
Right.
weren't tremendous players for us, but more importantly, their life was better now because they were healthier. They were part of a team, and a couple of those Super Bowl teams we had some guys.
remember you telling me that,
Chappie was
Chappie,
one
yeah.
of them, the big kid, and he dropped a ton of weight, and he's a healthier lifestyle now just because of the game of football. It was great.
Right. It's funny. I just want to plead the fifth. So when they sign up, coach, and they say, yeah, I used to play soccer, and he says, and I can see, were you listening to the radio show the other day when we were talking about switching sports? You never know. Like you said, I mean, you have the benefit. You guys already have them classified. Up in the college level, Jeff, is what you want them to do, and this is it. I mean, then you get those other guys that walk in the hallways, maybe even in college. You'll be pricing this more than I know more than I have. As far as, why don't you give it a shot? Let that inner energy out and go pop somebody. You're not, unless they throw a yellow flag, you hit them the wrong way, you're not going to get in trouble. I mean.
Yeah, when they come to the college level, sometimes, they don't see, if you're a big, they don't see themselves as being, a fit for that level of competition because, maybe they were a big at high school and they were what they would say, the big fish in the small pond there. And now they got all these big fish all around them. And it's mentality too, I mean, can they hack that at the next level, at the college level where everybody's bigger and everybody's faster and the game is just moving so much more quicker than the high school level. But that does happen. It does happen at the college level too, where we get recruits come in and maybe they can't cut it.
Right.
And they stop playing
easy.
football.
Playing college football is not easy, no matter what level it is at.
Yeah.
It's an eye opener, right? Isn't it? Basically, you think, like you said, big fish, small pond, and you're like this other kid. He's the other big fish, and he wants it more, and then you're on your butt. And I can just imagine what goes through their heads when they're that big,
Sure.
6'8",
Sure, it's
240 lean, and he thinks he's the bomb, and and he's a tight end or whatever, and he's athletic, and he goes, all of a sudden he gets popped from a kid from Bridgewater State, or
we don't recruit kids that we don't think that can't do it physically, but it's
Right.
the mental aspect of the whole thing.
right, and that must really change when you get to college. I can just imagine.
Yep.
So now, Coach, how is our practice looking like as far as scrimmages? Are you looking to get as many in as you can? Do you have a set mind on how many teams you want to? Because that will help you out with your defense too when you see who's not passive. I don't want to say passive, but it does happen.
Yeah, there's a couple things when it comes to scrimmages is you want to test the guys as much as you can.
Yeah.
But if you have the scrimmage, you're also losing basically a day of practice. So, and without having huge numbers, you don't want guys to get banged up either. So it's
Right.
like a double-edged sword. We're pretty much squared away. We've got a couple scrimmages already where we're actually going against my old team at East Bridgewater. Their new head coach was a former player of mine, played quarterback for me. Greg O'Sullivan is his name, and I'll give you his contact info if you want to reach out to Greg.
Yeah, I'd love to reach out to Greg.
Greg's a
Thank
great
you.
guy. Again, he played quarterback for me at East Bridgewater, and we're still good buddies. I'm meeting with him next week. Me and Pat Kingman are going to meet with him because he coached with me. Well, he played for me, and he coached with Pat.
Oh, wow.
So. it's exciting for East Bridgewater for him to be taken over there, and I can't wait to see what he does. He's going to do a great job. But we're scrimmaging them. They're coming over to our place, and then we're going up to Norwell to scrimmage them. And I've got some good buddies up there.
Oh, yeah,
Jason
the Clippers
Pitty.
have a pretty good program,
Yeah,
too. They're always
yeah,
competing, too.
Yeah. So we're set with those two. But, it's like I said, it's tough when you don't have a ton of guys and you're trying to install new offenses and defenses. You want as much practice time as you can get.
Have some players have gotten too cocky during a game at times?
Yeah, how do you handle that, Coach?
That is one of the hardest parts of coaching high school football because the game is so physical and we're working with young men, so they lose their temper and things like that. And
Right.
Yeah,
I can give you a
Passionate.
handful of guys that over the years it would take them sometimes 4 years to really figure out the way to control their own emotions. And we all know the saying: it's not the first guy who pushes or shoves; it's always the second guy that gets
Yeah.
caught. And you want those guys to be pushing that the line, that's the fine line. And it talks about a lot in hockey, with the penalties and stuff, pushing that line. You see it with the playoffs, but you got to coach it up. And I'm pretty hard on that. I actually use the same line with my daughters when they talk about what other people have done, and it's not very nice. I say, I don't care what other people have done. I only care about you and your actions, because at the end of the day, as our team or my own child,
Yeah.
you're the one I care about. So it's that's a challenging thing, but I really I enjoy it too, because it's one of the things that people don't see in what we do as coaches, is to really trying to mold these guys to be able to behave and do the right things under a lot of pressure, or when your emotions are flying around.
Right.
Which is what a great skill that is when you get older, to have that ability to do.
Right.
I learned this the hard way because I've gotten cocky too. When you get cocky, you brag, and what happens when you brag? You lose.
Yeah, someone's going to be there to bring you down, and it happens to all of us.
We got about maybe just under a minute left. Coach, it's great to see you, and I wish you all the best. I know all of us at the program and here at WARA, they want to wish you the best. Jeff, it was nice to meet you as
Nice
well.
meeting you. Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Just don't beat up on Attleboro, and then, they might get upset about that. But
Well, they're a little too big for us in
Yeah,
terms
right.
of the size of school, but yeah.
right. But all the best. And did you have fun your first time?
I did. I
Right.
thought this was really
You
fun.
got another 3 months of this or something like that?
Something like that.
Well, you guys were fantastic.
Yeah,
Don,
great
appreciate
questions,
it.
guys.
If we should just
Absolutely.
say happy birthday to Tony Carroll. She's our good buddy. We're going to celebrate her birthday tonight.
Happy
Oh,
birthday,
Down the
Timo.
Cape. Yeah, Timo, we call her. 50.
Timo,
So,
wow,
yes.
that's cool.
Yep.
All right, for all of us over at 4 Deep Sports Talk, we hope you enjoyed this hour of our show. We had the pleasure of bringing in, letting you know the new coach over at Pembroke High School, Sean Tarpey, and Jeff Picard from AIC. He took the time to help out. He's, I don't want to start the show, but Jeff called me. He said, I had to fill in some time for Sean. He might mess this up, but I thought that wasn't really nice. But that's another show for another time. But again,
Love to be
all the
back.
best, Coach. You'll see me sneaking around,
Absolutely.
you'll see the fat guy with the hot dog. That'll be me in the corner. We will catch you next time. Everyone have a fantastic weekend.
Oh, that was